as I always do, Tuesday, 2:30, Awesemo.com PGA show. Ben Rasa, FantasyGolfMan, Tim Frank, Rocket Mortgage Classic. Yeah, I don't know. You know what, Tim? We got a couple big time fields. We got a couple star-studded events, as some would say, right off the bat. Now according to you, we separate the strong from the weak because we have to start choosing made-up golfers.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows who all the good golfers are. And I mean, it was nice. It was like 3 weeks of, we get to see everybody in the field, stacked events. But like, this is what PGA DFS is all about. So if you like just picked it up starting, at Colonial and you've played 3 weeks and are like, wow, this is awesome. Every week there's great players. This is really what it's more like. Having to pick terrible players at a terrible course and a terrible field. So yeah, this is right up my alley. I'm really probably more excited for this event than I have been for any of the other 3.
It is true that, we had a lot of, and I see we got some good names in chat already. We had some newcomers the past couple of weeks, and I think they may not know that, like, normally you don't end your lineup with like a pretty decent tour player. Normally you end your lineup with a guy where you're like, is he even a golfer? Does he golf at all?
Yeah, you should not have, all 6 of your guys should not have pictures on DraftKings. That's not real golf. You have to have at least 2 guys with no picture.
Faceless. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to talk about them when we get down to the cheapies. I do want to say right off the top, Super Draft sponsoring the show as they always do. We appreciate it. Changing the game with their multiplier mode. If you guys haven't gone over there, you really should. Use the promo code Awesemo12. Get a little deposit bonus when you deposit more than $20. Really just softer fields. We've seen some big scores. We talk about a lot on the Wednesday night show, but I want to mention it here. If you guys haven't seen, it's no salary constraints. You're going to get incentivized to play some of these guys that only Tim could recommend. But we'll get into all that. But I do want to say, I'll be mentioning them throughout the show with Super Draft. Before we dive into anything, we can really briefly talk Travelers. I had a good week. Dustin Johnson won. You seem to be pretty solid as well, even though the 6 of 6 was non-existent.
Yeah, I was surprised. I didn't look at DK all weekend, and I didn't realize how much carnage there was and how impossible it was to get 6 of 6. So pleasantly surprised. I was, had DJ like Tim, Bryson, Hovland, all those guys. Good. If Max Homa could have made the cut, that would have helped me out a lot. But 5-6, good enough to get it done last week.
Same.
It was an interesting week. I mean, it was like you had like a lot of decisions. You had Bryson, who ended up being a good play. You had JT, bad play. A lot of like 50-50 guys right at the same price point. DJ and Rose, Hovland and Neiman, who ended up just being awful on the weekend. So interesting week. It was like there seemed like there was a lot of coin flips at comparable prices. And really, it was like feast or famine at a lot of those decision points.
It was, first off, chat, if you can hit that like button right off the top, we need those likes. Helps keep the lights on. It was a weird week. So Friday, I realized that if Keegan made the cut, I was going to be like in, potential super once in a year type week. He missed the cut. I broke a laptop on top of it when he missed the cut.
Did you intentionally break it?
No, I did not intentionally break it, but I did. My hand caused it to break. I wasn't trying.
Unintentional.
It was unintentional though. So I was laptop down and man down 5 of 6. Luckily, was able to hang on in some things because, just to give you an example, I played in the long drive, which is a single entry tournament. There was only 1 6 of 6 in the entire tournament. So like my 5 of 6 was just as live as anyone else. Pretty crazy. And that's something that we're going to have to deal with time and time again. This is the first week though, and we'll dive into it. Let's get into it. Let's go to Detroit Golf Club. This is, of course, correct me if I'm wrong, we've only seen this once, right?
Last year was the inaugural Rocket Mortgage Classic.
Yeah, I remember golfers just like making fun of Detroit in general because it's Detroit and whatnot. But this is, I don't know. I don't really like the scores. Talk about it. Par 72.
Yeah, par 72, 7,300 yards. Donald Ross design. We've seen, quite a few Donald Ross designs on tour. Wyndham, Sedgefield Country Club is a Ross design. Eastlake Tour Championship, I think, are the two that are regular Ross designs. But if you look back, you can see majors and other events held. So we've got some, there's a lot of data around those design courses. But I don't know. That doesn't mean a ton to me. Honestly, we have 1 year of data, and it was a god awful leaderboard last year. Nate Lashley won at 25 under, followed up by Doc Redman, Wes Roach, and Rory Sabatini.
What?
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. The course to me didn't look like it was anything that, where you could look at it and be like, yes, this is like Harbor Town, or this is like, Riviera one way or another. It looked pretty straightforward down the middle. Parkland course, bent POA greens. I'm really not putting too much stock into anything that happened last year. I don't think I'm taking too much away from the course. I'm pretty much just playing it straight down the middle, almost like we haven't seen this course before. 1 year of data really isn't anything to go off of, and if anything, you can hurt yourself by putting too much emphasis on that. So I'm almost treating it like a course that we haven't seen before. I'm not really doing anything as far as course fit this week.
It's tricky because, so last year the rough wasn't an issue. Some people are saying that that's because it was trampled down a lot. There are no fans this year. The rough is up. I don't know. The things that we do know, we know you get 4 par 5s every day. I can say this pretty confidently. The cut is going to be, I'd say, significantly under par. This could be like a -5 type cut. I think guys will take this apart. In terms of that, I know you're not pulling too much from last year. Do you think it plays really easy again, though?
I do. With 25 under, that's ridiculous.
That's just stupid.
Obviously, Nat Lashley ran away with it. But he had Doc Redman at 19 under, finishing second. So, yeah. And we've just seen it. I think the scores just are, I don't know what it is. If it's just the evolution of golf. It's just these guys are finding a way to get it almost every course. And this doesn't look overly difficult. So, yeah, I would definitely treat it like a birdie fest. And maybe that'd be the one thing I would take away from last year. I'm with you. I don't put too much stock into, the rough was down last year. It's going to be thicker this year, and that's going to cause all kinds of problems. I think the birdies will be in abundance. Like you said, par 72, so we're going to see a lot of eagles. I don't think we haven't seen a par 72 yet, right? Because
nope.
2 par 70s and a 71. So, yeah, this is the first par 72 we have.
And this is just, to me, this is significantly different.
100%. This is, we said last week that it was probably the course that favors the Bombers the most, even though it was a super short course. I think this week, you'll definitely see length probably be the biggest advantage of the 4 courses we've had so far.
It's not even, to me, it's not even close. Like Harbor Town, what you did at Harbor Town, I think is actually, I'm not even joking, literally irrelevant to how you would play here. I don't see it. But we can get into the top tier. I have no place to put this in the show because it's a completely random question. So I'm doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see Daniel Summerhays on the Corn Ferry at all? Do you even know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I did see that. And it was one of those things like, why didn't somebody tell me before the tournament that he it was like his home course and he was retiring? It's like, we always hear about the narratives after the guy wins or almost wins the event, but good for him.
Outrageous. I wonder if he won, what he would have done. He is retiring to become a school teacher.
Why?
I don't know.
Why not just retire to be a rich guy?
Yeah, he had some run. I played him in a major once, I believe, which definitely didn't work, but he was a real player.
He's played on the PGA Tour for years. I'm sure he's financially. If you look at the career, he's probably 30th on the career money list, ahead of Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus.
Daniel Summer. All right, let's do it. 10K plus options. These are going to be your low multipliers over on Super Draft. This is different, and we're not going to see it as much, but you'll see it as we drop. Bryson, 11-7. Webb, Hatton, Reed, Decky, Hovland. You start to see it there. Hovland, I believe he was 7,800 last week. Here we go. This is why you don't have rock solid tiers, because the field is all messed up. So is it a plug and play with Bryson, or do you find other value / guys you're interested in?
Yeah, I like Bryson. I really like weeks like this because, there are good players at the top, but I would consider Bryson to be like the only elite player. And it's hard for me at majors where you have like all these elite players and you cannot play all of them. Here, I mean, you can make a stance on Bryson. You can be underweight on Bryson, but not be completely dead if he wins. You can match the field, be overweight. There's a lot of things you can do. But I like the fact that it's like, look, there's really only one elite guy. I mean, what's really not to like about him? T8 or better in all three events. I guess the only concerning thing would be the ball striking has trended down, starting with gaining 12 at Colonial down to 9.6 at RBC, which are both outrageous numbers. And last week he was plus 3.4. But I mean, I don't know what to say. He's going to be popular, I guess, if you want to fade because of ownership. But it scares me. I think he's definitely. I mean, he looks like the best player in the field. The outright odds mimic that at 6-1. I mean, it seems like a stars and scrubs week for me. I guess there's a lot of cheap guys I like, and maybe if I can jam in two of these top guys, I think that's the route I'm going to go. And I think we see this a lot of times in weak fields. The expensive guys, they don't look too overpriced, and the cheap guys are always the cheap guys. And it's those middle guys, the guys that are like at 8 to 9K that seem like they're the most kind of overpriced guys because maybe we're used to spending like 7K for him. So, I mean, yeah, I love Bryson. I mean, that's not everyone's going to at least like him. If you're fading him, it's not because of the way he's playing. It's because of ownership or price.
Yeah, listen, the problem is that everyone has been waiting for Bryson to get on a track like this. Because, oh my God, he bombs it. He hasn't been able to. Now, Bryson by 1 million. Bryson at 13K. Bryson this, Bryson that. Yeah, he's quite good. I don't know. There's other ways to go, though. Particularly for me, Patrick Reed and Hideki, who, yeah, we saw Hideki at Heritage miss the cut by like 40, but who cares? He lost 5 strokes with the putter. Not that it didn't matter what he did. He was missing that cut. He was terrible everywhere. But he comes to a course here. He's sandwiched with Hovland right below him. Like, Hideki's very, very good. He can use the long irons. He can attack these par 5s. I feel very comfortable with him. You can double up if you don't use Bryson. So you could take a combination. You could take 2 of these 3 of Reed, Decky, Hovland, Webb if you want. Not that I'm doing that. And then the one guy I didn't mention, what do you make of Ty Hatton at 10-7?
I mean, he feels way too expensive, but I mean, he was amazing at Bay Hill, and obviously that was before the coronavirus break, but he was awesome. And then he comes back at Harbor Town and he was equally as good. Didn't win, but he was T3 and the ball striking was amazing. I mean, he's overpriced. I don't think there's any way around that. But he's definitely going to be the lowest owned of anybody over 10K. And the last 2 times he's played, granted they were, 3 months apart, but he was really, really good. I mean, the numbers kind of back everything up. But yeah, he would be my last option up here. I'm with you with Hideki. I love Hovland. The ball striking has been phenomenal. Last week, he made 2 eagles and missed like an 8-foot eagle putt. I mean, the guy scores like crazy. I was, licking my chops to play him this week after just watching him all of last week. But then when you put him at $200 cheaper than Hideki, boy, that makes it really tough. I think I'm still going to play some Hovland. He'll be popular. But I mean, I really like Hideki as well. I mean, he lost 5.5 strokes putting at Harbor Town. So, I mean, we've seen 2 rounds out of him, and really it was all the putter. The ball striking was okay, game 1.7. But, if you told me somebody won this event and he was either Hideki or Hovland, I think Hideki's far more likely winner. We've seen him beat fields much, much better than this, win WGCs, won at Memorial. If you told me somebody won this event by 6 shots, it would easily be Hideki over Hovland. I like the numbers for Hovland. I like everything for him. But, just class of player, Hideki, I have him well ahead of Hovland.
Yeah, but if I told you one guy didn't make a putt over 1 foot for the whole day,
there you go.
It would be Hideki once again. I'm with you, though. Listen, Hovland is great. He took apart those par 5s. He can score. He can't putt. He's just going to be very popular. And that doesn't mean that you want to go against him just on that. Just be aware that if you, I'll tell you this much, if you start Bryson Hovland, you and many, many other people have a 4v4. That is going to be the chalk build this week. And I get it. There's just other ways to go. Last thing I'll say, Ty Hatton did all this damage on Bermuda. He gained 9.3 at Heritage. I just can't really back that. I get it. He's just not the priority for me. So I'll look elsewhere, and I will look to some balance builds as we go to the 9K range here. These are going to be the 1.1, 1.15x over on SuperDraft. Man, here we go, though. Sanjay, Ricky, Finau, Bubba, Na, and Scheffler. All of these guys with slightly better form would be an 11K golfer in this field. I feel really comfortable saying that.
I feel comfortable saying that too. And the names look good on paper, but try and find anything besides just name recognition or class of golfer. I mean, these guys have not been playing well. And that scares me. I mean, you can go anywhere because, yeah, could any of these guys turn it around on a given week? But, Sungjae, not good last week, miscut the week before. Fowler, bad in both events he's played. To me, I would play Finau at 9,300. Unfortunately, he'll probably be the most popular of this range, I think. Missed the cut last week, T33, T23 the previous 2 weeks. I guess Finau's my guy. I am maybe opposite of you. I don't like this range at all. The names are good. The stats are bad. The finishes are bad.
They all missed this is something that I overrate, but one of my favorite things to do is to attack guys that miss the cut on the number. Finau missed on the number. Bubba missed on the number. Scheffler missed on the number. All these guys, especially when you're talking about really good players, they get in on the number and then they catapult up the lead and they come in like 23rd. And people are like, oh my God, they played really solid once again. They don't get the chance for those extra 36 holes because they all finished 3 under instead of 4 under last week. Bubba was the chalk last week. Didn't pan out. I'm going right back to him and Finau and Scheffler and Rick, all these guys. I feel really good about. Sanjay, I don't mind the spot by any stretch. I just don't know his game's just really weird. He lost with the irons again at Travelers. He's kind of just like in a weird, I don't know, so form off this little return.
Yeah, he not playing a competitive event for like 10 weeks just screwed him all up. Didn't know what to do with himself. Doesn't Scheffler feel too expensive? I mean, he's 9K and he's been bad in both events. He's
an insane par 5 scorer. That helps. He's got the insane eagle rate. That helps. It depends. I'll tell you this much. If you look up, I think, man, Scheffler's a little overpriced because he's right next to Na, Bubba, Finau, and Ricky. If you look down, you got Harris English, who has COVID, Sabatini, Poston. Like, get them out of here.
8,600. Obviously, we can't go down to Doc. 8,600 to 10K to 9,800 is bad.
You could take 3 of these guys in a lineup, though. Think about that build.
You could, but it's not about a miscut. I mean, I look at the stats of the guys that missed the cut, and if I see something there like, wow, he gained 6 strokes tee to green and the putter was bad, I don't mind that.
This is surprising to me. So, I know I'm picking the guy that you like least, but like $1,400 more for Hatton and Finau. What?
Yeah. It's
$600 more.
It's just, for me, it's not. I mean, none of these guys besides, Na was decent last week. Bubba at Colonial, but we've had a 3-week stretch, and it's not like, oh, these guys were playing good and then they missed the cut on the number last week. It's like, I don't know. They haven't really been good in either of the weeks we've seen them, or they haven't been good in 2 of the 3 weeks we've seen them. But I get what you're saying. You're getting a discount. You're definitely getting name value, and all of these guys, long-term form, are better than this.
That's fair. It's not a 1-week sample on guys. I'm such a macro builder that I just don't care. -3, -4, it's all the same to me. And I think you're getting an ownership and price combo discount off some really good players in a field that's so weak. It really is. This is not what we have seen. So, oh boy, I guess I don't really want to talk about anyone else, but I can't end the show. So we got to go to the 8K range. And we've got, like I said, Harris English was kicking this range off. He has COVID. He's gone. We've got Sabatini, 8,800. Poston, Day, your boy, props to you. Stuck with Doc Redman last week, paid off like the savage you are. Lucas Glover, the guy from South Africa, Hadwin, RCB, Kurt Kitayama from the Clouds, and EVR. Do you like the 8K range better than the 9K range?
No, not especially.
Okay. This is the worst range.
Superstars and scrubs this week. We're just jamming in as many of the top guys, and then we're just crushing all these amazing plays at like below 7K.
So a couple things that I wanted to ask you. The first is more of a macro thing. We rarely, if I can say ever, see golfers play 4 weeks in a row. We see it now because it's just really atypical what's going on. Do you consider that at all? Like Jason Day is playing for his 4th week in a row. Bryson, many other, not many, but a handful of other players. What do you think about that?
No, honestly, didn't even cross my mind at all. I guess maybe with Day that would be concerning, but he missed the cut, so really he's only played 8 rounds.
He should be rested.
That's they're rested up. No, I mean I don't think even in the course of a regular season, I don't think 4 weeks in a row would concern me. I think when you get to 5 or 5 plus, maybe then. But yeah, I don't think 4 weeks would concern me at all. So no, I didn't even think about that.
It's just different. Guys play in 3-week spurts seemingly all the time. 4 is atypical, maybe during the FedEx Cup. But overall, I don't know how you quantify that, so it doesn't matter. Ownership, of course, will be posted, and we'll have a couple of runs. You can check it out behind the paywall. But what I can tell you is that Doc Redman and Lucas Glover are both going to be very, very popular. Are you going to go? I mean, I know you look at ball striking stats more than anyone. They jump off the page with how well they're striking it.
Yeah, they really do. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not playing Redman. I thought maybe if Lucas Glover was going to be a significant discount, ownership discount from Redman, I would easily pivot to Glover because, the numbers have been comparable. Redman was just a lot better last week. Well, not a lot better. He was really good last week, better than Glover, and he had the second place here last year. I guess we didn't really touch on course history. I'm not a big course history guy anyway. When we have a 1-year sample, I really honestly don't even care about it at all. I think when we have 1-year samples, people tend to look at that 1 year and weight it way too much. They're like, oh, he was second last year. He was third last year. Well, I mean, that doesn't – I'm not looking at that either. I think people will lean on that more just because it's only 1 year. And it's like, oh, wow, he played great here last year. I don't know. If Doc Redman played here 10 times, he could have terrible course history. I'm not sure.
It means nothing.
It really doesn't mean anything. I will not go to Redman. He'll be very popular. He was awesome last week, and I like him long term just because the ball striking is he's so consistently good with it. But I mean, at this price, huge price jump, going to be a huge ownership jump. I don't like it. If Glover is substantially less owned, which it doesn't sound like he will be, I wouldn't mind going there. 20th, 21st, 23rd, ball striking has been top notch in all 3 of those events, but even he's expensive at 8,400. So, not in love with either of those guys, but I expect them to hit it well again this week because they've just been really dialed in. But at the price and the ownership, I don't think I'm going there.
Yeah, listen, again, there's a reason that people are chalk. Everyone's pretty smart these days. I mean, that's debatable, but allegedly that the human race is smart and they identify mispriced guys who are playing really well. Doc Redman is crushing the ball. Lucas Glover is too. But the ownership, the price bump, you're not looking for another made cut anymore. Like Doc Redman, we talked about him as, I mean, you particularly, he was your last man in, I assume, on all your teams. He's not going to be your last man anything this week. Like he needs to help to carry the team. That's just a different situation. So I don't think I'll be able to get leverage on both. I like Glover over Redman if I had to pick. Do you have any interest in Jason Day, who will be the lowest owned of all these guys?
No, not really. I really don't know what's going on with him. Just
what a world, though.
Yeah, I mean, not playing well, but then the price, he doesn't seem especially cheap. He does seem cheaper than I guess he should be, or you would think he would be in this field. I mean, you look at him priced in with guys like Poston and Glover. But I mean, 8,600 is not cheap. It's not like, wow, we're getting him for 7,900 or something ridiculous, where he really makes you think. I mean, that's you're still paying somewhat of a premium for him. I know the name recognition, and if we go really long term form, yeah, that all looks great. But boy, he just has not been good, and 8,600 really isn't that cheap. I know this is a bad field, but I don't like it.
I like where he's priced because to me, he's been playing so bad that he's going to feel overpriced, and he's sandwiched right next to double chalk. That's a great spot to live in because you know that he's going to get sufficient coverage. His game is just nowhere though. So I get it on a pure that merit. You can definitely go there, but that's about it. I can't point to stats of why Day will play good. He's not doing anything. So that's that. I don't really have JT Poston. I don't know if you looked at his stats. His stats are the craziest thing I've seen in a while lately.
No, I know the putter was hot when he had two good finishes, and I see he missed the cut. I didn't look at the numbers, so I don't have.
So at Heritage, he gained 7.2 strokes around the green and 4.8 strokes putting. That's a tidy 12 strokes with the short game, lost 4 with the irons. He followed it up at Travelers with just 4 more strokes lost with the irons. I know if you look at the results, you see 10th, 8th, and missed cut, and you think, oh, he's actually playing all right. He's really struggling. It's just his short game is immaculate right now. So definitely not going there. That's a pretty big red flag.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've been doing this for a long time. That's probably the number one thing I would look at. And this is a course where we're not expecting short game to be a huge factor. Obviously, the easier the course plays, the less reliance there is on around the green. Putting will be important. You have to make birdie putts, but we're not expecting a ton of scrambling to be going on in Detroit this week.
No. Anything else on Bezenhout, Hadwin, RCB, EVR, Kurt Kitayama? I don't have strong takes on these guys. I don't hate any of these plays, but it's just not a range I really wanted to attack.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you. I could be, if we're talking pivots off of Redmond and Glover, I wouldn't mind playing EVR or RCB just as a quality player, a couple $100 cheaper, significant ownership discount, but none of these guys are going to be targets for me. Kurt
Kitayama from the Clouds. Monday qualifier.
I don't even have him on my spreadsheet. I got to update.
Nah, like I said.
Are you really interested in Kitayama?
The only thing I like about him is EVR, RCB, Hadwin. These are not guys that I'm drawn to. So you could make a reasonable case. The problem is you're evaluating this range to me on best available. Ownership doesn't matter for any of these guys. No one's going to be massive chalk. There's no considerations there. So you're choosing best available player. To me, if I had to choose, it would be RCB and Hadwin. So not a lot of room for him, but I like, and we can get to it, I like the 7K range, especially the top of it. So these are your mid-range multipliers on SuperDraft. We've got Sneds, Harmon, Noren, Brendan Todd. He got off that green finally. Kisner, Grace, Maverick. And I'll put in Varner, who might be shortlist most popular guy on the slate. Do you like this range, or is this another dead zone for you?
Yeah, I don't mind this range. Varner, the numbers, he's one of those guys. Yeah, the numbers kind of just jump off the page at you. One bad event, but 2 really, really good events. If we're talking ball striking, the on paper finish is not great. T32 last week, but plus 7.5 approach and off the tee. That was really good. He missed the cut at Harbortown. That's probably a really bad course for him. And then he was T19 at Colonial where he gained 8.5. So, I mean, 2 of the 3 events, he's just been on fire off the tee and on approach. The price is really, really good. I like him a lot. He'll be chalky too, but 7,600 as opposed to Doc Redmond at 8,500. I think that's much more palatable. So I like him. And Todd, I don't know what he was. I mean, if you look at the numbers, they were really, really good. But the Sunday collapse, I don't know. It feels like that's just going to send him back into
oblivion.
Yeah, back into the driver yips or something. Because he was cruising through 54 holes, and then the wheels fell off. And boy, I don't know. I don't want to see him go back into the doldrums, but I feel like that could send him back. That could send him back there.
It wasn't good. Yeah. Chat, feel free to jump in here. Brian Harmon, he killed me last week. He missed a 10-inch putt on Friday that was very important. Really could have used him making that. I like the spot again, though. I feel pretty comfortable with him. He didn't really play that bad. He lost 4 strokes putting, and he's a good putter. I wish this was Bermuda. That's my one concern. And the fact that I actually like Alex Noren a little bit. So Chad, let us know who you like in this range. But Tim, do you have a feeling on Noren? He's one of your guys as well.
Yeah, I'm a Noren guy. He hasn't been playing terrible. I don't mind him. 21st at RBC, 60th Colonia wasn't great, but I mean, long term, I'm a Noren guy. You know, been off for a little while, but I mean, we saw him reel off all those wins in Europe. Then we saw him come over here and compete in really strong fields at the beginning of, was it last year? I don't remember how long ago. It was a long time ago now, maybe.
Yeah,
we've seen him compete in strong fields. I guess when his game is on, you know, he's like a European Sneds or something. I don't know what you want to call him, but yeah, I don't mind. I'm a long-term Noren truther. You can't play Harmon. I told you he was not a good play because he was doing everything with the putter. He was doing it all with the putter.
Oh, he did everything with the putter, like everything to miss the cut.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. You know, I don't know what to say.
Guillotine. God, so sick. The thing, though, my biggest concern about Noren is if you told me the winner is like 22 under, does that scream him? You know what I mean? Like, I like him in like the cut is 6 over and he grinds to like -1.
Yeah, well, you know, the 2 PGA Tour events that he really, really contended in was Honda and Farmers, and both of those are really hard courses. So, yeah, you're right. This does not scream Alex Noren Birdie Fest.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to do that. I'll say I think Maverick is totally fine as a pivot off Varner. I think Scott Stallings, who's striking it well, is an interesting pivot off Varner. Joseph Bramlett, chat wants to bring up. Go ahead, please. Oh, you gave a non-rejection look there. Go ahead.
I mean, okay,
I was ready to reject them.
Second and third in the Korn Ferry Tour prior to last week. He played Travelers last week, but he came in with a second and a third, really good. He was T41 last week, but the ball striking was decent. So he's played 3 good weeks in a row. I don't like him as much as Varner. I'd probably play Stallings over him. I don't know, man. What about Kisner? He's been bad.
He really so Kisner's the type of guy, though. I put him in the Sneds bucket of like they can just win out of nowhere. The problem I have with him, though, is that the irons are just, I guess you could say that with Sneds too. He's all over the course. They're not playing well, and they need more than just the putter to turn around. Even if the putter turns around and they're both really good putters long term, they need more than that because their game is struggling.
It seems really hard to click a guy like Bramlett when you have Grace, Kisner.
Real players
in the same range. Snedeker, I don't like this week, but his inconsistency doesn't really concern me because that's just who he is. He's an inconsistent player. Like he's not a ball striker. He's a short game specialist. That right there is going to lend itself to being inconsistent because, you know, we know from week to week, the putter, even for great putters, isn't always going to show up. And when you're not a good ball striker, that leads to more inconsistency. So he's a guy that's just inherently inconsistent, inherently boom or bust. So that doesn't bother me as much. And we've always said this about him. I'd rather take a stab at him at 7,900 at low ownership than at like 10K at Wyndham at high ownership, because I mean, you want some consistency when you're paying up. You don't want to we have no clue what we're getting out of him. And at 7,900, good GPP play. I don't think I'm going to get there, but his inconsistency doesn't bother me as much.
Comes with the territory. If he was more consistent, he would be 10K and more popular. So you take what you can get there. There's paths to getting payoff. There's a lot of paths that he misses the cut. That's what you're trying to balance out. A couple more. Okay. Now we're going to do the lower sevens. And before I do, I will just say what I always say. If you haven't joined Awesemo Plus and you want to, you should. Come on in. We have weekly packages try out a week under $10. It's like absolutely nothing. See what's what. Tools, ownership projections, Alex's projections. We have the whole team in there, articles, videos, you name it, we've got it. And that's just for golf. Obviously, the NBA, MLB, it's all coming back. We're ready to go. We're excited to do that. Also on the betting front, pumping up the content. So if you guys haven't joined, come on in. And like I said, we'd love for you to buy an annual package. I think that's your best bang for your buck. But if you're unsure, just buy a week, test it out, and then yell at Tim in Slack. That's really what it's about. And that's what it's worth the price of admission. But the lower sevens, I think, is where the money is made this week. You've got guys like Brian Stewart and Patrick Rogers leading it off. I don't really like them. I guess we'll open it up and then I'll give some egregious plays for the sevens here. Does this range strike you as interesting? Because this is, to me, where there's a lot of great tournament plays.
Yeah, I think this is really where it starts to get interesting. There's a couple guys I like really low at flat 7,100, but a little bit up from there. I mean, what about your boy Chris Kirk? He won on the Korn Ferry Tour. I don't know. I mean, I feel like he should have gotten a little bit bigger of a price bump than 7,200. I mean, that is a pretty meaningful accomplishment for a guy that we've seen win several times on the PGA Tour. We know, somewhat like a Sneds, inconsistent, but can win in decent events. I don't know. I think I make maybe a little bit more of that Korn Ferry Tour win than DK does or the bookies do at 100-1 and 7,200. I have some interest there. There's not, the stats aren't going to be there because we haven't seen him in a long time. And when he played, he wasn't good. But obviously he figured something out.
Clearly. And, he had some personal struggles that he's obviously got a handle on. Things seem to be clicking for him, and you're not going to see it because he was on the Korn Ferry. It's just a weird range. Like I said, first things first, Will Gordon apparently is a person. He played outstanding. He birdied the last hole to get unlimited exemptions or whatever. Great for him. Kelly Craft fish play of the week. It's gotta be Will Gordon.
Will Gordon is a person, and apparently he is a person that is really good at golf.
That's debatable, but sure. You looked good last week.
Okay, well, and then this is all I'm going back, and this is like hindsight because I had no clue who Will Gordon was. I'm just not one of those guys that like is digging real deep on all these amateurs. But prior to Travelers, and we're going way back because we haven't played golf in a while. He was 20th at Puerto Rico, 21st at Farmers, missed the cut at Sony, T10 at RSM. I mean, I'm not playing Will Gordon. I'm not touting Will Gordon. Before last week, I didn't even know who Will Gordon was. But four of his last five starts in the PGA Tour were T21 or better. Just throwing that out there. But I'm not playing him. I'll give my fish play of the week. Siwoo Kim.
Yeah, that's bad.
I tweeted something last night, like, please play Siwoo Kim, people. And I thought, like, when I put the people in there at the end, that people would get that I was being sarcastic. And then I had a bunch of questions like, oh, yeah, I love him too.
That's actually hilarious.
I'm sorry. Yes. Did he play good last week? Yes. Did he strike the ball well last week? Yes. Does that mean it's going to carry over to this week? Absolutely not. I don't know where I really want people to play him. I think he's going to be somewhat owned because just from reading betting,
Ross,
people are betting him. Now, maybe he's a better bet than he is a DraftKings play because if you bet a guy who has big upside, you don't care if he misses the cut. Like if he misses the cut or he finishes T10, that doesn't really matter. So maybe he's a better bet than a DraftKings play. But on DK, I mean, he's not inconsistent. He's horrible 90% of the time. Yes.
And the worst time to play him is after his random pop occurs. That the time to play Siwoo was if you had a time machine, you played him last week.
You would have played him last week. Yes.
Yeah, I don't see it. Going back to Will Gordon, obviously he's got some talent. The problem I have with him is I can't carve out what he's good at. His irons are not great. His putter randomly popped. He's not a super strong driver of the ball. So like I just can't conceptually grasp what he's doing. Keegan to me is a much better play. I'll go right back. He cost me a laptop and a lot of money last week, but that comes with the territory. Chad asked about Mark Hubbard. I think that's fine, especially over on Super Draft. If you want a big multiplier, don't chase Wes Roach course history. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, what has Wes Roach done to be priced in this range anyway?
If seriously, and this is not to, but like if Wes Roach was 6K, would you have even noticed?
No, I would not.
Like I would have had no idea.
So I guess he finished 5th on the Corn Ferry Tour 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
I don't know. And one more thing, I'm going to go back and pile on Siwoo a little bit more.
Okay, please.
Just so I can just totally dig my own grave here. But if we look at his top 5 finishes via World Golf Rankings, win at the Players, Bermuda, win at the Wyndham, Bermuda, 2nd at RBC, Bermuda, 3rd at Genesis, that was Poe, and then a 2nd at Barbasol, that was Bermuda. He seems to have a type, and it's a short Bermuda track, which this is neither. So I just want to throw that in there for a good soundbite when he wins.
Nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to just go out there. There's no half measures here. I'm either all in or all out. We're all out on Siwoo Kim.
That's what we do on the show. We do a lot of stupid things, but I will say one thing we do on the show is we open ourselves up to be punished, and that's what it's all about. I got 3, and then we'll get to the cheapies. Kyle Stanley, Sebastian Munoz, and Tyler Duncan. Sign me up. Tyler Duncan in particular, I've been playing him. He's playing great. He can't really putt right now, but he's a fine putter. Kyle Stanley showed some form. I think all these guys make perfect sense.
Yeah. Munoz didn't jump out at me, but Stanley definitely did. Resurgence last week, gained 5.1 with the ball striking, T24. Was really good through 2 rounds. I actually bet him through 36. Didn't do too much on the weekend, but 7,100, a guy definitely seemed, we've seen him in the past. He's been down, but he seems like a guy that could be up in the AK range under different circumstances. And maybe he found something. And I'm with you on Duncan. He might be my favorite play this week. 3 really good ball striking performances and getting progressively better. He was T38 at Colonial, gained 1.5, T28 at Harbor Town, gained 3.5, T32 last week, gained 6.9. So the ball striking trending up. Really, really good play that I think people will go there. The people that look at Fantasy National, I don't know. Mayo has to tout him. He seems like a guy that Mayo will tout just because of the ball striking.
I did that show this morning, so I touted him.
No spoilers. We want, but I'll have to listen.
But yeah, I did that for us. I got one. This will transition us to the 6s.
Yeah.
Peter Uihlein, question mark. He was good at Charles Schwab. Really good.
He was decent.
What do you want him to win? My God, no respect.
Yeah, I have so much just
venom for him. Yeah.
Scar tissue from Uihlein over blowing leads at the True Thailand Classic in 2014 and stuff.
JD hunting him down.
I don't mind him. I mean, yeah. I guess I don't know. It didn't really jump off at me. T32. I think that was on the Corn Ferry. I think after Colonial, he went and played on the Corn Ferry Tour, which seems odd, but he was okay there.
Class dropper.
I'll counter your Uihlein with a guilty pleasure of mine, Sam Burns at 6,900.
Okay. Really, yeah. And now we're jumping into the 6s. Let's do it. Sam Burns, go ahead. I like this play as well.
I mean, he was a guy that I was all over probably from waste management until the season got put on pause because the ball striking was amazing and he just could not find a putt. And he wasn't good his first event out, but last week, he was pretty decent. I think he gained around 5 strokes with the ball striking, 4.5 strokes with the ball striking, T24. The thing that I like about him, he has an interesting game off the tee and putting. Like if you look at like his long-term stats, great off the tee, great putting, and that can produce some really, really good results. You don't see a lot of like bombers who are also really good putters. And he's one of them. So I think in that combination, you can get uber hot. It's kind of like a Wyndham Clark type, but I hate Wyndham Clark. Sam Burns, much better golfer. So I like him. He was good last week.
Sam Burns, electric. I like him in showdowns. I like him in like first round leader type things. He can decimate the par fives. He's a really strong Bermuda guy, though. He's an LSU guy. That's the one concern I have.
I'm with you. I feel that too.
And like looking at his stats, all right, Honda gained 5.4 with the putter, API 4.6, Heritage was around 0, but then he lost at the Travelers, lost at Waste Management, lost at Farmers. That's the one concern. But you know what? As we both always talk about, if you're going to roll the dice, roll it with the putter. Like Sam Burns can score, and maybe he finds a little something on bent grass. That's the one killer. You have any interest in like Lanto or Matt Wolf going down a little more?
Can I name just a name that's going to make you want to puke?
It's not. All right, hold on. It better not be. If it's Patton Kizzire, I'm actually going to leave the show. It can't be him though.
It's Patton Kizzire.
What? Are you serious?
Yes, I'm dead serious.
Just so you know, we don't like act these out before this year. I almost said him because I was just like, there's no possible way. He talk about from the clouds.
He was good last week.
Yeah, I know, but before that, he had a slight issue with he didn't do anything. He had no top 50s. The last time he had a top 50, no one knew what COVID was. It was back in October. He's been so bad for so long.
He found something last week. It's obvious. And it was not all the putter he gained. The ball striking was good. Two-time PGA Tour winner, Patton Kizzire.
Has won multiple times in recent years.
Guy that crushed the Korn Ferry Tour, Web.com Tour. I mean, when he came out, he was the next big thing. Now, granted, the guy cannot drive the ball, so if you can't drive the ball, you're never going to be a great golfer. But, I mean, he crushed it there. He's won twice on tour. I don't love him, but I could make a case for him.
Okay, that is true. When I say truly shocking, not because I see how you got there. I just never thought in a million years you would do that. There are a bunch of guys, though. Snedeker comes to mind. Just several others that are going to lose off the tee here that you could make a pretty strong case everywhere else are pretty suited for the course. And he's one of them. So I don't mind that. But obviously, I'm going to tout Aaron Wise because that's what I do. Made the cut last week.
Finally made a cut.
Yeah. Well, if Patton Kizzire, please, Aaron Wise can attack these par fives. He should be better. He's finding a little form. He needs to improve the irons. There's not much down here, though. So, I mean, do you have a lot of plays that you're comfortable going to? I mean, to me, Wise is reasonable. Guys who can attack the par fives are what I'm looking for.
I'm going to tout somebody that makes Patton Kizzire look like Ben Hogan.
Hold on. If I can get another one. What?
You already know who it is.
Is it Wesley Bryan? Yeah, obviously. Because again, let me clarify this and then I'll let you set the stage while I jump off the banister here. When I was saying there are guys in this field who are going to lose off the tee but can do everything else, the third guy I wanted to mention was Wesley Bryan. I just figured if I did that, I would derail the show knowing that you don't like guys who drive at 175 yards. Go ahead, please.
I mean, do you know who led the field in strokes gained approach last week?
9.3.
Just sizzling hot with the irons. Okay. Him and Kizzire are similar golfers. He amazing on the Korn Ferry Tour. I think he won 3 times. On the PGA Tour, won at Harbortown. He's like a homeless man's Webb Simpson, right? Just atrocious off the tee. But I mean, that was due to like driver yips. This wasn't like, oh, he's just not good off the tee. Like he had a problem.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Well, I mean, and I would rather go with that than it's like, oh, he's just bad off the tee, and that's how he's been for 10 years. Like this guy had serious issues, and if he got some of that ironed out, maybe he's back. But he played good. I mean, he was T24. The approach game was awesome. We know he has a good around the green game. We know he's a good putter. We know he's a good iron player. The off the tee was just so bad, and it has not been good. He's played 2 events, RBC and Travelers, and he's lost. What did he lose? 2.5. Yeah, I mean, he's lost like 2 or 3 strokes off the tee in both of those events. But if you go round by round, it was like one bad round. In round 3 at RBC, he lost 4.3.
You can do that at RBC though, easily.
And in round 4 at the Travelers, he lost 2.5. So he's had like 2 rounds at each event that were bad. But if you look at the other ones, they were just right around even. I mean, if he is just at least just not in a complete abomination with the driver, the rest of his game can be top notch. We saw the irons last week. The short game, obviously, with all the stupid trick shots he likes to do in the putter. I will take a shot at him at 6,500 as a guy that, I mean, can contend if the driver is just not terrible.
He hasn't been putting so far, which is a huge plus because he is a great putter. He will turn the putter around. There's no doubt in my mind. His driving, no joke, is improving considering he only lost 3 strokes. Like he lost 11.3 strokes off the tee in a tournament a couple years ago. That's actually impossible.
Yeah. And like I said, this is not like, oh, he's just like Luke Donald is not a good driver. He had a physical problem that if that got figured out, or a mental problem that if that got figured out, maybe we can say, hey, maybe he's back, because he dominated the Korn Ferry Tour. He was the best player on the Korn Ferry Tour for a season. And when he came onto the PGA Tour, he was instantly like 35, 40 to 1 to win decent events. I mean, dude, the irons were fire, and he can putt. That's good enough for me. He's cheap.
Yeah,
that's
what you're banking on.
Drewby was already making fun of the people touting Wes Bryant. So
I mean, I'm gonna say I like Cam Davis at the same price, so that's not much better. Totally different player profile, but he found something. He regressed a little bit, but again, and this is a point I want to make. This is very interesting, and I'm certainly not saying I'm right, but chat pointed this out. Brian mentioned it, saying it's a par 4 course, not a par 5. I've heard a lot of people say that. I personally disagree. I think you get 8 par 5s over the 2 days. I think that's where you really make your hay. A lot of other people are saying everyone's going to take advantage of them. It's what you do on the other holes that'll separate. Get that argument? I'm more banking on I want to make sure my guys have the best chance to go 5, 6, 7 under through those 8 holes, and then I'll worry about the rest. Any other guys? I didn't give I have one last. It's crazier than the people you already talked about.
That is impossible, because I just named 2 of the worst golfers on tour over the last couple of years. But no, I have nobody else.
I don't know if this guy's on tour, so he might not even qualify. It's my good friend who has gained in 6 straight events with the irons. Chase Seifert is back. I always play at 6,200. This is a true 0.5 percenter. He's just someone that's gaining consistently with the irons. He's a good bent grass putter, can get crafty. We saw him at Travelers once pop. Just a pure, if you jam up top and you need somebody, it's him or Bill Haas. There's no one else down there.
Yeah, don't play Bill Haas. Bill Haas was egregious at RBC, even though he finished T48, and that was the week that I touted him.
Bill Haas is, this Thigala character, I'm going to do what I did last week, wait and see, because I don't know when these guys, if ever, are going to pop. Like, Chad is asking, Tim, this is right up your alley because I know I joke around on the show and say I don't know who guys are. I mean it when I say it here. Who the hell is Donnie Trosper?
I don't even have him in the field.
Like, I'm not joking, Chad. That's one I actually don't know.
Did he like Monday qualify or something?
I don't know. I guess so. He's got no stats and no pitcher, so that's a double whammy. But Chad wants us to bring up Pat Perez. Let's take a look and then we'll get out of here. Pat Perez, 6,500. Let's go to the videotape. He's gaining with the irons. I see how you are getting there, but the finishes have been pretty bad going all the way back to OHL. I'm not really there. I'd rather play Cam Davis.
Yeah, no, negative on Pat Perez for me. And, you know, I've honestly started looking, and I know I touted Wes Bryant's approach game only, but I really have just started looking at off the tee and approach combined because I think they work hand in hand. You can, if you're gaining a lot off the tee, you don't need to gain as much on approach.
Of course.
So I've tried to get away from it. And I mean, it works at specific courses where if you really don't think off the tee is important, you can say, well, this guy's been bad off the tee, good on approach. But in general, I just like to look at them together because they really do work together. And even if you count Wes Bryant's bad off the tee game last week, he was still, what was he? 7th in ball striking in the whole field. So,
I mean, listen, so chat, you guys throwing out a ton of names. Two things. One, tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern, me and Jason Roslin will get very egregious. We'll talk about a lot of these guys in depth, but I will say this, no matter who you're throwing out, you know, the Ryan Brams, Johnson Wagners, what I always recommend is try to correlate them a little to some of these other guys. Like, if you think Wolf is going to tear this apart off the tee, I wouldn't pair him with Wesley Bryan. That just doesn't make sense. Why would Wolf and Wesley Bryan play good at the same time? I'm not saying it can't happen, but there's no way their games are correlated. So, like, look to some of these guys in maybe Bomber Stack. If you play Wesley, like, Tim, would you agree with this? If Wesley Bryan plays well, Sneds has a slightly better chance just in a vacuum.
Yeah, especially this week when we're not sure what to expect from the course because we've only seen it once. It might be playing slightly different than we saw last year because of setup or anything. But yeah, you want to correlate, like you said. Could Sneds and Wolf play great at the same place? Yes, or Wolf and Wes Bryant. But it's not likely because they're opposite ends of the spectrum as far as what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah, one's going to be behind the 8 ball because if off the tee doesn't matter, Wolf is not going to probably be a good play. If off the tee matters a ton, Wesley Bryan is still a terrible driver. So just think about it like that. Doesn't mean you don't need 6 bombers, but you don't want to have like, I really wouldn't recommend having like 3 incredibly bad drivers with like 3 incredibly good drivers. That's a little odd.
Can I pair Bryson and Wes Bryan though?
Well, Bryson's just a god, so you could do whatever you want there. But yeah, it's a little tricky, but like I said, that's the best way to approach these things. That's my final thoughts on everything. Is just really look to stack it up. We only have 1 year of data, so don't rely too much on 2019. And realize that your teams aren't going to feel like they did the last couple of weeks. You're going to look at them and you're going to say, wow, my team sucks. Because you just don't have the strength of the field. So embrace that. Try to get creative with your builds. Other than that, just, you know, take it for what it is. Another week, but this is a more typical PGA Tour week, not a stacked field.
Yes. This is welcome. This is the official opening of the PGA season.
There we go.
This is what we want. Sweating, egregious players. Yes.
On your way out, Chad, as always, you guys, I love it. I love bringing up the names. You make the show fun. If you can hit the like button on your way out, it really helps us. We're going to get on out of here. Josh Engelman behind the glass. He's going to go work on his golf teams. We're all going to go build. Then tomorrow night, we will have hot takes for you, 8:30 Eastern at awesemo.com. Find us on Twitter. Good luck, and we'll see you tomorrow night.